Okay, so we are going to be watching this little, it's not really a video, it's kind of a video, but it's going to be talking about dialogue. So dialogue is something else that you can add into a story to help you tell the story. And we're going to be finding out about dialogue today. All right?
Welcome to Writing Their Stories, Dialogue and Description.
Ooh.
A good story makes you about writing exciting stories with characters right there with them remember for a long time. In this lesson, you'll learn about dialogue and description, two great ways to bring your characters and stories to life.
Today we are only going to talk about dialogue. We talked about description last week, and this video will be on Schoology if you're interested in watching the description part.
Dialogue is a conversation between two or more characters in a story. Nearly every story with more than one character has dialogue in it.
So this is really important for you to understand. Dialogue is a conversation. We've read many, many books together where characters are having a conversation. They're talking to each other. That's called dialogue.
Dialogue and plot. What the characters in a story say to each other can move the plot along. One character might say something that makes it either easier or harder to solve the story problem. Characters can reveal new information, come up with an idea, or offer a completely different point of view on the story problem. Sometimes what a character says can solve the original story problem, but introduce a whole new story problem. In this story, the author uses the dialogue between Darvas and the eagle to tell us more about the setting of the story. We learn that a giant talking eagle exists in this fantasy world. What Darvas says about the eagle tells us that regular people don't meet talking eagles every day. The eagle introduces himself as an imperial eagle and court herald. This tells us that the eagle is a servant of an emperor, and that Darvas and the eagle probably live in an empire. The author also uses dialogue to introduce the story problem. The eagle tells us that he has to deliver a very important message, a message that someone does not want him to deliver, and the eagle needs Darvas's help to deliver it.
Okay, so here we have two characters that are having a conversation. We have the eagle, and we have this character named Darvas. And we know that they are talking because of these little marks right here. These little marks are called quotation marks. We talked about these a little bit last year. Quotation marks tell you exactly what the character is saying. So if we were watching this as a play or something like that, the words that are in the quotation marks are what the character would actually say. So in this story, it would sound like this. "A little help here, maybe?" the eagle asked. So what did the eagle actually say? The eagle actually said, "A little help here, maybe." Okay, and now we skip down to the next line and we have new quotation marks here. And we can see that Darvas, the other character, is now the one that's talking. And what is he going to say? He's going to say, "You can talk?" And he's saying that with amazement. He's really shocked that an eagle can talk. Next line down, now the eagle is going to talk, and the eagle is going to say, "Of course I can, and I'm asking for help, if that's not too much trouble," the eagle said. "What are you doing in my sheep field?" Darvas asked. So you can see that they're having a conversation here. Darvas is finding out that the eagle can talk. He's wondering why the eagle's in his sheep field. And the author is using this dialogue to kind of help us figure out what's happening in this story. Okay,
Why use dialogue? Why should you use dialogue? When you write a story, you can use dialogue to show what your characters are like, what their personalities are like, what they care about, and how they feel. You can also use dialogue to move the plot forward and make plot events more interesting. This dialogue is from a fantasy story about a boy named Darvas who discovers a giant talking eagle in the field where his sheep graze. What does this dialogue tell you about each character? Read the passage. Notice how the writer uses dialogue to move the plot along.
So hopefully you realize that what she said was that one big reason to use dialogue is because that helps your reader know what the characters are feeling or what they're thinking. And it moves the story along, okay? It can help move the story along.
Dialogue and characters. In the best stories, human characters talk and act like real people. Just like in real life, what characters say and how they say it can tell you a lot about what kind of people they are. In this dialogue, we can tell that Darvas is suspicious of the giant eagle at first. He asks the eagle what he is doing in the sheep field and mentions that normal eagles sometimes take lambs. We know from this that he thinks that the eagle might be trying to eat his sheep. The dialogue also tells us that the eagle has a sense of humor. He gently mocks Darvas for thinking he is a normal eagle. When Darvas says he could just leave and not help, the eagle apologizes and says he will not make any more wisecracks for at least 5 minutes.
So we can find out all these things about the eagle and about Darvas without actually saying it in the story. But instead, you use the dialogue, and then your reader makes inferences based on what you have written there as the author. So let's actually read this. "A little help here, maybe," the eagle asked. "You can talk?" Darvas said with amazement. "Of course I can, and I'm asking for help if that's not too much trouble," said the eagle. "What are you doing in my sheep field?" Darvas asked. So we can tell right there that Darvas is suspicious. He's wondering if that eagle's going to try to eat one of his sheep. "And just what do you mean by that?" asked the eagle, tilting his head to one side. So here we can tell that the eagle's a little offended. And the author didn't have to say the eagle felt offended. Instead, the author could put in what the eagle might say, and then the reader makes an inference that the eagle is offended. "Well, normal eagles sometimes take lambs," said Darvas, his voice trailing off. "My boy, I am not a normal eagle," the eagle replied, drawing itself to its full height. "You'd think the huge size and the talking might be a hint." Boy, this eagle, I can tell from that sentence right there that this eagle is pretty sarcastic. "What? I mean, who are you?" Darvas asked. "Aquila, Imperial Eagle and Court Herald at your service," the eagle answered. "An Imperial Eagle?" Darvas exclaimed, bowing. "I'm sorry, I didn't know." "It's an easy mistake to make, since there are so many other giant talking eagles around here," Aquila said wryly. So Aquila is being very sarcastic. Of course, there are not many giant talking eagles around. Darvas frowned. "I could just leave you here, you know," he said. "Ha! Fair enough," Aquila chuckled. "I'm sorry." "Darvas," said the boy. "Darvas. Well, I'm very glad to meet you, Darvas, and if you can help me, I promise not to make any more wisecracks for at least, another 5 minutes, maybe 10. So that's supposed to be another example of sarcasm. It's kind of funny. I'll be nice for 5 minutes. "I can splint that wing, I think," Darvas said. There's a big clue here. There's a huge clue here. Darvas says to the eagle, "I can splint that wing." This tells me what the problem is in the story. The problem is the eagle must have hurt his wing. "Excellent. Then I'll also need your help to deliver a very important message," Aquila said, nodding, his head toward a silver scroll case tied to one of his legs. "A message that someone doesn't want me to deliver." The plot thickens. So this eagle is supposed to be delivering a message that someone doesn't want delivered, but he hurt his wing. So we're kind of getting, the plot is developing here, and it's all happening through the dialogue.
Now let's listen in on a conversation between two characters, Mika and Chef LeBlanc. The characters aren't described here, but if you look closely at what they say, you can learn a lot about their personalities. Read the dialogue. What does it tell you about each character? What words would you use to describe each one? Drag all the words that describe each character into that character's box. Use a dictionary to look up the meanings of any words you're not sure of.
So we have the character Mika. It says, "So, Chef LeBlanc, you claim you were in the kitchen until midnight on the night the painting was stolen." So from that dialogue, from what Mika says, I can tell Mika sort of sounds like maybe a detective or something like that, okay? So perhaps she is suspicious. Sounds like she's suspicious of Chef LeBlanc. And then LeBlanc says, "Of course my cooking is a masterpiece. I do not expect a mere detective to understand, but you cannot make a masterpiece in 5 minutes. Oh, boy. I feel like he's, maybe he's angry. He's being accused of something. Perhaps he's a little arrogant. My cooking is a masterpiece." And then Mika says, "I'm sure that is true. But here's another thing I don't understand. The butler said that when he went to the kitchen at 11:30, you weren't there." So Mika is skeptical. Skeptical means that she's not really believing the chef's story. See how much we can tell about these characters from just the couple of sentences that are put into the dialogue. That's what you have to try to do when you write your stories. Okay, we are going to stop there.
In the best stories.
We are going to stop there and look at what your work is going to be for today. So you're going to go to homeroom. It's going a little slow. I have a lot of things open here. You're going to come down here to Monday. Go to ELA. And inside of there, I just recorded myself teaching this to you. So I will post that video inside of this folder in just a minute. So that will be there. And then you're going to do this activity here where you're going to read a story and fill out a story map. And then you're going to do a grammar assessment based on some things that you learned last week. Okay? So that's what you will be doing for Reading Language Arts. And then, as I emailed your parents this morning, we are not going to meet live anymore for the rest of the day. So if you want to do science earlier than 2 o'clock, you absolutely can. Inside of the science folder is a link to a video where I recorded myself doing a lesson, and then another video here, matter video, that you're going to watch. Okay? And then you will go to specials, which I do believe are live. And at the end of the day, and you can watch it earlier if you want to, but if you want to wait until 3:30, that's completely up to you. At 3:30, there's a little video here that is for our closing meeting. Okay? All right, so